This is All the Genders, a podcast where we talk about gender identity and queerness with marvelous people sharing their lived experience. If you're a trans or non-binary person or close to someone who is, if you're exploring your gender, or you're an ally, or even if you're interested in male waterfowl and thought this show was called All the Ganders, this podcast is for you because gender identity is everybody's business, and I'm glad you're here. You can find other episodes on your favorite podcast source or online at allthegenders.com. I'm Quinn, she, her, or they, them. I'm non-binary and bigender. Today I'm female, other days I'm male, and I podcast in whatever gender comes up at the time. Today's guest is the lovely and kind Jen Gonzalez. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Quinn.
First, I'd like to ask you, what are some words or phrases that describe what's important to you about who you are?
Okay. I have a few. I have health, teaching, music, caring, support, and advocacy.
That's a great set. We've known each other for quite some time, since before either of us were out, and there have been a lot of changes in your life since then. So can you tell us a little bit about all of your experiences over that time and sort of what's changed for you?
Okay, experiences over that time. Okay. So I was in a serious long-term relationship with a very good, very wonderful person. We're still really good friends. And this was after you and I met. And in the New York area where I live, or where I lived at that time. And we were together, I think, for something like 2017 to 2000, is it 2017, 19, 20, yep, till the end of 2020 was when I came out. And just before we met, I first experienced what I later understood to be gender euphoria, just before she and I met. And yeah, I went to a Halloween party, and this was in 2016, Halloween 2016. It's for my family's Halloween party. I didn't know what I was going to dress as, and I somehow knew deep down that I wanted to dress as a woman, and that I had wanted to for a very long time. I didn't know why at that time, but I decided to do it for the Halloween party with the excuse of the Halloween party. And I went out and I bought some clothes and tried them on. And I knew as I was trying them on and as I was doing all of the things, shaving and the eyebrows and nail polish, that something was happening. Something really important was happening. And as when I got fully dressed and looked in the mirror and I was wearing a wig, I knew that I had been suppressing this for a very long time. And I felt the liberation of being myself, of being my true self. And I went dressed as that for Halloween, and I dressed again like that for a couple of different events around Halloween. And then I realized I didn't want to stop.
Mm.
And so I said to myself, this isn't just a Halloween thing. This is for real. And I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna find ways to do this, um, to be myself, because I felt like I was able to really be myself.
Mm.
And and then I met this person, um, and we instantly hit it off. I was in the male role at that time, as you know, dressed as a male. And we hit it off so well that I wanted to pursue it. And I felt that I could not pursue both. I
Mm.
couldn't pursue being, at that time I was using the name Veronica. And that was, using the name Veronica was a homage to a, a, a young woman that I knew a long time ago in my early 20s that I was really infatuated with. She was goth back in the day, in the late 90s. She was goth, Nine Inch Nails and all that. And I was totally into her. I was probably in love with her. And I always wanted her to accept me. And so when I started dressing as a woman, I took on her name. I don't know exactly why. But
Did you
um,
did,
hmm?
did you a little want to be her?
um I don't know that I wanted to be her. I wanted to be
Mm.
accepted by her. I wanted to be respected by her. Uh, but I don't think I wanted to be her. I wanted her to, yeah, respect me. At the time, I think she liked me. She thought I was cute,
Yeah.
but she didn't really respect me, because I was.
Oh.
uh, But anyway, so I was using her name,
Hmm.
and when I met my partner, my female partner, that it was February at that point, so it'd been October. I went around the New Year, and then she and I met, and I said I can't be Veronica if I'm going to pursue this. Like the two are not, uh, they can't do both.
Mm.
So I mentioned it to her, um, as a passing thing, and I told her that it was something in the past, because at that time I decided I couldn't pursue it and I needed to let it
Right.
go, you know. And it was very heart-wrenching putting my women's clothing in a bag, and I kept a few things, but mostly very, very sadly um, gave away a lot of things.
Mm.
Um,
It must have been very hard to have that conversation as well.
yeah, I wanted to be like fully honest with her,
Right.
tell her, um, that I had done that, and that had happened. Um, and for a couple or few years there, I went straight all in, man.
Mm.
Like I wanted this relationship to work. Like we had something really good, her and I couldn't be Veronica then. I couldn't be Veronica. It just wasn't possible. And I convinced myself it was a phase, that it,
Mm.
that it was just a passing thing. Um, yeah, but it never went away.
Right.
It was always there in the back of my mind, and I felt with her, I won't say her name, but I felt in this kind of like in my peripheral vision, this understanding that I could never fully be myself with her.
Mm.
That as much as I loved her and I loved what we had, I was not going to be able to be, I was not able, going to be able to live my full life with her, with me
Right.
as John, which was my name, John. And so it came to a head when I moved to the town I live in now, in kind of not upstate New York, but on one of the Great Lakes here. And so we were doing the distance thing, long distance relationship. And I don't know, I had time by myself and I had time to think about Veronica. And yeah, the winter of 2020 to 2021, I decided that I needed to uh, tell her, my partner, that I needed to be that other person. I needed to be Veronica, and that I couldn't fully be myself or couldn't fully live fully unless I was. And it was very difficult, very sad, very sad.
And you knew you were breaking up when you were doing that. Yeah.
Yes, we tried to keep going for some time. Um, we did, we tried. Um, but eventually, I actually can't remember which one of us finally ended it. I think she ended it. She said she needed to take time. Uh, and then
Mm.
that was I think that was the end.
I'm so sorry. That just sounds so hard.
It's it's okay. I mean, it was very sad. Like I was really attached to her children. She has three children that I really adore. And yeah, it's really sad. But we are both exponentially better off now.
Right. Because you get to be you.
Yeah, yeah, I am me, Veronica, but I took on the name. I settled on a name Jennifer,
Mm.
um, because that was I felt the female equivalent to my original name, which was Jonathan. So I felt Jennifer was a very good transition from Jonathan, and yeah, my initials would stay the same.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then both names have a long three-syllable version and a short one-syllable version. So it was very
Hmm.
like a lateral move.
Did it feel like it was already your name, or did it take some getting used to?
It definitely felt very natural.
Mm.
Once I settled on it, and there was a little bit of time where I was like, is Jennifer too plain? It sounded like very like typical female name. And then I thought, well, in my generation, which is kind of our generation, Jennifer
Right.
was very common.
Yes. Yes.
So I thought it was a good fit,
Yes.
for our generation and also for the similarities between Jonathan and Jennifer. So,
For whatever it's worth, it seems to me that it suits you.
well, thank you. Mhm. And now my ex-partner is also with somebody else now, and I'm very happy for her. Um, she seems to be very happy. I haven't met the person yet,
Mm.
but I think he is a a good person. I haven't met him yet, but I'm sure he's
Yeah.
wonderful. If she likes him, he must be good.
Hmm. And then in your own life, have you been, what have your thoughts been about dating or romance or
Yeah, I'm trying.
yeah, not the easiest thing to sort out.
I really didn't think it would be this difficult,
Mm.
honestly. Uh, I have been trying. Uh, yeah, but I am definitely bisexual. But right now I am uh, very much interested in a male partner.
Yeah,
Um, so uh, this is pretty personal, but I feel like if we're gonna do this, might as well do it all the way. So at a very young age, uh, sexually molested by an older male cousin, starting at the age of I think about 5 or 6 years old,
oh God.
and going, yeah, very young, and going uh, until I was, I think, 14.
Oh wow.
Um, so luckily, we didn't really live near this person,
Right.
um, but we visited enough that the abuse happened pretty regularly, and it many times. Um, so my interactions with males in that way have been pretty much spoiled by that experience,
Mm,
and and I thought for a long time that I would never be able to be with a man
right.
because of that, and uh, and I think that that experience really delayed my coming out and my even accepting the fact that I was attracted to men, because I associated those feelings with those experiences.
Right.
So
Jen, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. Um,
it's all better now.
it it does seem better now, like from what I
Mhm.
know of you. Um, so you've been into fitness a lot over the past few years, from what I know. Can you talk about what that means to you, if it has to do with your gender, or it's just um, another part of your life that's not specifically to do with gender?
Um, so I've always exercised, um, on and off in terms of the intensity of it. Um, and for a long time, I was like chasing some type of manliness, you know,
Mm, I know.
like trying to be like muscular and manly, and trying to fit in, and uh, yeah. But now I exercise like feverishly,
Mm,
like I can't stop. And I'm doing it to get in shape because I really want to feel good and look good, um, in a feminine way now.
right.
Uh, Whereas before it was like masculine, muscle bulking, and now it's like, flat belly, thin sides, nice butt.
Always important.
So it's different, but yeah, I've always worked out, but like yeah, since I came out, my the intensity is just off the charts. I'm working out now like 2 hours in the morning and an hour in the evening.
Wow.
I know.
What are you doing differently in your exercises now? Sort of working on a different kind of body than you were working on before.
Yeah, so yeah, that's exactly it. Is before it was I never did lower body exercises. I would do
Mm,
like a little warm up treadmill or something, and then I would just be like weights, 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 heavy, heavy weights.
right.
And now it's like I can do if my knees aren't bothering me, I can do cardio for an hour and a half uh
Mm,
straight. Um like treadmill, bicycle, stair stepper, elliptical, just like 20 to 30 minutes on each one and just like not stop. Like I'm just going. And now I started to incorporate some lifting in that, like some lower body lifting. It's all been lower body,
mm.
um, leg presses, squats, glutes, all the leg stuff. And I hated doing legs before, and now it's just nothing but legs. But now I'm also starting to
Right.
do some upper body stuff as well.
Mhm.
Um, Starting to get my like tone up my arms and my shoulder and my back, my shoulders and my back. Just trying to get tone, like I don't know, like I'm not. So I'm on hormone replacement therapy, and
Mhm.
I'm totally open to talking about it. And I think that there's a lot of trans women out there that kind of take the medications and want the medications to do all the work in terms of shaping their body
Right.
into a womanly figure. And I don't count on that happening, and I'm not going to wait for it to happen.
Mm.
And so I've been like hard charging, okay, this is what I got to do to shape my body into a feminine shape, you know. I need to have, and I don't have hips at all, so I need to have thick thighs and a nice butt to give my body some shape, give
And to
myself some
hold up
curve.
and to hold up some of these clothes that they have for us. I've
Yeah.
I've noticed that there are, oh well, that clothes are sometimes expecting me to be shaped a little differently than I am.
Yeah, I definitely I've gotten lucky in a few clothing things that I do have. I shop a thrift shop, and I've gotten pretty lucky. But yeah, I always have some type of a over thing, except for now it's so warm, but some type of a light blouse that kind of disguises the fact that I don't have hips, you know. But then I have good bottom end now. I feel good about my lower end having kind of a feminine look to it, but it was all hard work, just like nothing but gym,
Right.
you know.
Well, how long have you been on HRT now?
Uh, just over a year and
Mhm.
3 months. Oh, almost a year and 3 months. Uh, yeah. So yeah, started off with spironolactone and estradiol,
Mhm.
and slowly did the gradual increase in the medications. And now I'm at the maximum dosage that my it works for my body in terms of my testosterone and estrogen levels. But I now have a second doctor who prescribed me progesterone. So I've got progesterone now as well. I just started taking that a couple weeks ago.
Oh, so I was just wondering how all of it is making you feel and whether you're seeing an impact?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll start from the top down. So I was uh, experiencing a lot of my hair thinning,
Mm-hmm.
and hair loss, which was really, really upsetting to me.
Right.
Um, so I had a scalp treatment by a cosmetic surgeon in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Dr. Prasad, um, and I think he's amazing. He he used a he used an approach that is intended for stabilizing hair transplants, utilizing platelets, like your own blood platelets, uh,
Mm-hmm.
to inject into your scalp, and it stimulates growth hormones. And I believe the original intent of doing that is to help stabilize hair transplants.
Mm-hmm.
And he was doing that, and he found that in several of his patients, hair that are near to the site of the transplant was starting to regrow and thicken. Like not just the hair transplant itself, but hair around it.
Oh,
And
fantastic.
yeah, so he worked on it, came up with a technique in which they take a blood sample, centrifuge it to get the platelets out, and then they inject it along with this other compound, and I can't think of the name of it. I should have researched it before this other compound, and
Mm-hmm.
that stimulates growth hormone in your scalp, and that causes your hair to the thin hairs to start to thicken. And so I did that treatment, um, and uh, and then he also prescribes finasteride as well. So I started that. So I did the scalp treatment, started finasteride. I went through the shedding phase. There's like a couple months or so where like you lose hair, the hair
Oh,
follicle. Yeah, it's kind of scary.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Oh, and for any of our listeners who don't know, finasteride is a drug that's prescribed in like a larger dose for certain prostate issues, but in quite a small dose for some people, it helps grow hair
yeah.
on the top of the head. Now, I feel like 80% of trans feminine presentation, for me anyway, has something to do with hair.
Mm,
Like the rest of it feels like a walk in the park compared to the hair.
God, yes. Seriously, the hair is so important, and I feel so bad for uh, trans women who, are people are our age who have already lost so much hair,
Right.
and it's like I thought I was going to be wearing a wig. I did. I had
Mm.
lost a lot of hair. It was thinned, and I lost a lot. I have a couple of pictures, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to grow it out because it's just too thin. It's too thin already. Um, I was resigned to the fact that I'll have to wear a wig.
I
Um,
have to say that occasionally I'm a little jealous of trans women who get like really good wigs and wear them because sometimes they just look fantastic and it's just there and you can just use it. So I've certainly seen trans women who look just amazing, or even, just seeing someone try on a wig and being like, oh, whoa, there she is, right there.
yeah,
Um, so it seems like at least there are some fantastic wigs out there and so forth. But yeah, having your own hair is kind of a nice thing. And I think almost any woman would probably feel similarly.
yeah, yeah. I think that hair. androgenic hair loss is a serious mental, people might laugh at this, but I think it's a serious mental health issue that is just shrugged off. Like, men
Mm.
are supposed to just take it like a man, and if you express any concern about it or any bad feelings, it's like you're vain, or you're,
Oh,
you know what I mean, or something like.
yeah,
But like, it's a serious issue that men have to deal with, and it's not like it's their fault, it's genetic. And ironically, it's due to testosterone. I mean, testosterone
right.
and the combination of genetics and testosterone is what causes your hair to fall out. And the psychological effects of that, like, it are just, uh, I don't think they're fully appreciated. I don't think they're taken
Mm.
seriously. And I think that hair treatments should be covered by insurance. It shouldn't be considered cosmetic. It should be considered a mental health issue. That's my perspective.
Yeah, well, the whole idea of, I feel like there's this whole category of things, electrolysis and laser, um, uh, facial feminization surgery, other kinds of things that are often kind of lumped into just cosmetic, as though we live in a society where it doesn't matter what you look like. And
Mm,
I can I can begin to understand the argument if it's not a gender issue, or, if it's sort of considered natural aging or whatever. Um, I could sort of see how you could have an argument that that exists there. But if, like if you're a woman with alopecia, if you're a trans person, just these things are crucial just for getting through the day without going batty, I feel like. Except, fortunately, I think there's some folks out there who just can be cool with it. I I admire people who can just be cool with it. I think cis men who lose their hair and just look fantastic bald, hopefully at least some of them are like realizing, oh, I actually look fantastic. No problem. I
mhm.
hope, but I don't know. So I'm sort of going on about that.
Oh yeah, I totally agree. I think there are men that look great bald, and like, I know several men who are like, I'm like, I don't care, you look fantastic.
Right.
You don't need hair. But for a lot of people, it is a mental health issue, like depression, anxiety that comes with
Yeah.
that kind of with losing your hair. Like, and it's like, it's kind of a joke. Like, male pattern baldness is like,
Mm.
it's almost seen as a joke. But like,
Right.
women, when women lose their hair, it's a tragedy.
Yeah.
It's absolute tragedy, you know.
Um, and like, have you experienced other sort of changes like within yourself other than sort of presentation changes during your transition?
Um, Definitely. And I'm still trying to figure out how much of that to attribute to the hormone therapy, and how much of
Hmm.
that to attribute to just coming out and and liberating myself, and
Right.
being free. I don't know. Um, I don't know which is which. Like, I do. There's before I started transitioning, I was, probably like you, was watching, YouTube videos of trans people and the experiences they had and things, and that definitely sunk in and gave me expectations, you know. And I can definitely say that, my experience has lived up to those in most respects, and to the experiences that I've heard about, in terms of, for example, increased breadth of emotional capacity, and and
Mm,
increased sense of empathy. Um, and so I definitely experienced that. Like I experienced an emotional roller coaster now that like before I was numb. I was walking around numb compared to the
mm,
things that I feel and experience now. Um, like I can something can happen at work and it'll make me think of something, even just a childhood memory, and I'll feel like I need to go in my office and cry. And sometimes I do.
mm.
And uh, yeah,
That actually leads into another thing I was really interested to hear about. So, as a teacher, you're in front of a lot of people a lot. How does it feel? How has that interacted with your transition or your experience of yourself?
yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah. So I came out um, uh, over that winter of 2020 to 2021, first to my family, or to my partner first, and then to my family. Actually, I think I told my sister Angela first, and then I told my partner, uh,
Mm,
and then the rest of, I told my mother and my brother, and yeah, the rest of my family. And then I actually came out publicly on the Trans Day of Visibility, March 31st. I thought that was a good one. I thought that was good timing. So
agreed.
yeah, I sent a message out at work. I sent a message out to my department that I work in, saying I know that you guys know me as John. I know you don't know this part about me, and on Transgender Day of Visibility, I want to share with you that I am transgender. And then I signed it off. I said a few more things, and I signed it off with my name, Jennifer.
Mm,
And I got a lot of positive responses from people congratulating me. Um, And up until that point, I had started to like, I was wearing a little bit of nail polish. I was
mhm,
starting to slowly kind of feel my way into like, how does this feel? Like, what am I gonna wear? Started to slightly change my clothing and like put on a woman's shirt and more jewelry. And I was just slowly kind of coming out of my shell.
mhm.
And I got a couple of strange looks from some staff and faculty, a couple of weird, strange comments, and like, what's going on? But I kind of just shrugged it off. And once one of my students said to me, "Are you wearing nail polish?" And I was like, "Yes, I like it." And that was kind of awkward. I hadn't come out yet. And then after I came out, it was like, okay, nail polish is on. This is happening.
Right. So many
And
things are then available
yeah,
that it felt like unavailable before, that it felt forbidden. I'm
yeah,
speaking for myself.
yeah. Hmm. But I didn't come out to my students. Um, I came out to the the faculty and staff.
Hmm.
But I did come out to, so I have a few students that worked for me that I interacted with more personally. And I did come out to them, about a half dozen students. I told them, I shared with them the message that I sent out to the other people. And then I had a conversation with them personally saying, I'm going to be dressing differently. Things are going to change, you know, and they were all very supportive, very supportive. I didn't say anything to the broader student body, like my students in my classes. Uh,
Hmm.
but I did, like when you do presentations and you have a slide, like I have an opening slide at the beginning of every presentation.
Mm-hmm.
And after the day that I came out, I changed the name on the slide and I put a trans flag on it. And
Oh, nice.
I highlighted the new name in red, and I changed the pronouns because I had pronouns on there. And the trans flag was in the shape of a heart, you know. And,
Yeah.
and one student definitely caught it, and she emailed me after the class, and she was like, "I'm so glad to see." She's like, "I'm so glad." It said something like, "It makes my queer heart so warm inside to know that, one of my teachers is trans."
Right.
That was really nice.
Well, so yeah, we're both in a position as more experienced women that there are a lot of younger people behind us. Do you feel like you like have an effect on the lives of younger queer people?
I definitely do. I definitely do. And I think that I've had several students uh, express that to me. Um, one one I remember was a surprise to me. They're all kind of surprises, but I was in the lab because I do research in a lab in biology, and I was just in the lab tinkering away at something, and a student walks in the lab, and I didn't recognize him, and he said to me, "You're Dr. Gonzalez, right?" And I said, "Yes, yes, I am." And he said, "I am so and so's roommate, or I just graduated and I'm so and so's roommate." And I said, "Oh, I love her. She's, one of my students." And he said, "I just want to thank you for being visible."
Mm,
And it meant so much to me. I didn't even
right.
know him.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Oh, that's wonderful.
yeah. And yeah, it was really nice.
We we have somehow managed to run out of time.
Oh my gosh.
And so I wanted to ask you if there's anything else you wanted to talk about before we sign off.
So one thing I think that is really important is that transgender issues are very, very controversial today in today's society and in politics. And I think that a lot of my understanding of this comes from, unfortunately, the media. I only know a few trans people in real life that I've gotten to know, and so I'm like you probably are bombarded with the media's telling you what uh, transgender means and what it is,
Mm,
and and the issues around it, like trans women in sports,
right.
trans men going into women's bathrooms and things like that.
Mhm.
And it seems to me that society and politics are taking advantage of us, a very small population of people that, at least in my experience and in my personal experience, we just want to live our lives. We just, I don't want to hurt
Yes.
anybody, you know. I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to get by. I'm trying to find somebody to date and pay my bills,
Mhm.
you know, and I can't help that, I was born this way and I am this way and I wouldn't change it for anything. I love who I am, you know, and I think that there's a lot of people out there that are trans rights activists, and that maybe there are some trans people that are pushing for big changes to account for a very small proportion of people like us. And I think that we need to start pushing back a little bit against the trans rights activists.
What kinds of things feel like too much to you?
Well, I'm concerned about youth transition.
Mm,
I'm very concerned about uh, people in their early teens or even before their teens receiving affirmative therapies. And I am very concerned about puberty blockers. I know enough about biology to say I don't think puberty blockers is a good idea. I really don't. I think that we're jumping the gun with with uh, with transitioning young people. And I know that that probably sounds harsh, and there's a lot of people that probably would take offense to that.
mm,
But we trans people, my perspective, we have been around a lot longer than hormone therapy was even around. And
yes.
we don't, we never needed, I think hormone therapy is very good. It's great. I love it for myself. As a 43-year-old, I think
Mm,
it's great. Now I'm almost 45. Um, but if it wasn't there, if there was no hormone therapy, I would still be Jen. I would still be transitioning. And I think that all of us can make it without medications. What we need is acceptance from society as who we are, like being accepted as who we are without medication or without feeling the need for it. I mean, it's great. Like I said, it's great that it's there. And as an adult, 43, 45-year-old adult, I'm comfortable taking it. Um, and I appreciate it. But I'm against youth transitioning. I'm also really concerned about trans women in sports. Again, from the perspective of somebody who knows about biology. I know enough about biology to know that I would not feel comfortable competing against biological women, knowing what I can do physically. I
mm,
would never put myself up against a biological female, same height, same weight. I still wouldn't do it. Um, and I don't think we should. I think that until there are co-ed sports with sufficient attraction and draw for people to support the trans community, I think we should. I think that's one of the sacrifices we have to make. That's my perspective. I think we need to leave women's sports to biological women, and I'm happy to go up against any man in any sport that I play, which is not many, but I'll compete against men. I will before I compete against biological women. So I think my perspective is a little controversial in terms of what the rhetoric that we hear from trans rights activists and maybe even a lot of trans people. But like I think that we are so few. We're what, 1% of the population? And I don't think we should be asking society and culture to change for us. I don't think we need it. I think we just need to be accepted as who we are. We don't need to upend things. And that's perspective.
Yeah, there's so much there that we could dig into it. Yes, and it does seem controversial to me, but
Mhm.
I really appreciate you sharing your position and your feelings about these things. Um,
Yeah,
because especially since I feel like if you're part of a group and then that group demands that you have certain opinions, that
yeah,
then that impinges on people being able to be themselves again.
yeah, yeah,
So I imagine among listeners, we're likely to have different opinions from different people on these things, and I appreciate you sharing that. And
yeah.
Jen, I appreciate you sharing so much today. You've been so generous with your experience and uh, sharing uh, what life has been like for you. I so appreciate you having come on the show.
Thank you so much, Quinn, for even inviting me. It's very neat to do an interview. And I'm happy to talk more. If you or any of your listeners wants to have a follow-up conversation, I would love to keep talking.
Great.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
I'm so happy you joined us, and I mean that. Our music is by the irresistibly lovable Dawn and Jen, and you can find us on the web at allthegenders.com and on Instagram at allthegenderspodcast.